Hello, my dear students. Today we continue our course and I want to discuss with you next topic. So right now I will share the PPT with you. Yeah. Now I hope that you can see our next topic. So today we discuss the competitive pressures and incentives to innovate. So what actually I want to discuss with you. First of all, we investigate what does it mean to manage the innovations in the economy, in the domestic economy. What are the major factors which affect the economy? And what kind of theories and practical methods can help us to be more innovative? So we discussed the innovative economy in this class. So that's why we have to study what are the major tips of innovation development, of innovation management. How can we be more innovative in the global markets, in domestic market, and how do innovations help us to be more competitive? Well, so first of all, let's start with the theory about the resources. You know that there is a resource-based theory, which tell us that if you want to be more competitive in the market, you have to manage successfully and effectively your resources. You may ask me where and how we can get those resources and what are the examples of the essential resources in the innovative company. First of all, some of the resources can be produced by ourselves. You know that we can develop technology, we can create an idea of innovation, we can produce knowledge and share knowledge. All these examples, they are examples of resources which can be created and developed inside the company. Also, there are a lot of resources which surround the company, and our task to reach those resources, to get the access to those resources and achieve them. We should understand which type of resource do we need for our innovative development, what is the quality of the necessary resources, and how can we improve the quality or the resource itself if the infrastructure and elements of those resources, they are not enough for our business. Yeah, so that's why let's start discussion about the different types of resources. Here, this table explains us the different types of resources. So on the left, in the first column, you can find the list of resources. So we may discuss tangible resources, and they can be financial and physical. So there are two major types of the tangible resources, financial, physical. Characteristics: financial borrowing capacity, internal funds generation, and also the external funds or investment also belongs to the tangible financial resources. Indicators: what does it mean, indicators in this table? It means some kind of elements which can be evaluated. You know that we have to evaluate our business, we have to evaluate the market, and also we have to evaluate our efforts, what we are doing, what is the quality of our business efforts in the market, and how can we compete. That's why these indicators may help us to understand better what kind of problems with already existed resources do we have, and make some kind of forecast for the future activities. So what are the indicators? For financial resources, we may evaluate our revenue and costs, do the cost and revenue analysis and find the result. Do we have positive result? For example, we may invest in the future and continue our successful innovative development. Or the second, we may have debt, you can find here. Yeah, so it means that we have to cover our debt with the existing resources or create the new one. Also, the credit rating helps us to understand all the issues which happen with the investment, with the loans, with the funds, and net cash flow. Of course, net cash flow as a result of the sales capacity, for example, as a result of the technology development may help us to evaluate these kind of resources. Let's move to the second type of resources, physical resources. They are also tangible resources. Examples of these physical resources: plant, office, equipment, size, location, technology, flexibility, land and buildings, raw materials, and so on. So these are physical resources. Also, we must evaluate them. So how can we do that? Indicators help us to understand the effect from these physical resources. So we may check market value of fixed assets, we may create scale of plants, and also we may suggest some kind of alternatives for fixed assets. Yeah, so we may do such kind of assessment. Now let's move to the second type, second classification of the resources, intangible resources. Intangible resources, they belong to the technology, refer to the technology, technological resources, and reputation. Technological resources, they are inside our R&D process, and reputation refer to the marketing process. What are the resources inside the technology intangible scope? Patents, copyrights, know-how, R&D facilities, technical and scientific employees also belong to the technological resources. How can we evaluate the effectiveness of these resources? The effectiveness of the resources, it also means that we check the quality of usage of these resources. How do we use these resources? Do we have any problem, or we successfully manage them and get the effective result? So here we check the number of patents owned, royalty income, R&D expenditure, and R&D staff also belong to the technological intangible resources. You will discuss the reputation. So here we have brands, customer loyalty, company reputation. It means that we may develop such kind of resources through the effective relationship and communication in the market, because we may communicate with suppliers, customers, government partners, even competitors. All of these things, they refer to our reputation. Reputation, this is also the resource. Please don't forget that we discuss these resources because all of them, they participate and contribute into the innovation development. So in this case, if we discuss level of the organization, the most successful and the most competitive organization which has a lot of resources, tangible, intangible, and even human resources. You know that. That's why most of the Korean corporations focused on the fourth industrial revolution, focused on the technology development, and at the same time focused on the human resource development, because all of us, we understand that if we do not have enough human resources with the appropriate level of the competence development, so it's impossible to develop technologies. Yeah, it's true. So that's why the last type of resources, human resources in general. So how can we develop these resources through training, use the experience, adaptability, commitment, loyalty of the customers, and also the communication strategies. Different communication strategies help us to develop the human resources. What kind of indicators? Employee qualifications, pay rates, turnover, and one more, competence assessment. Yeah, so we may check the competences and we may easily understand what's happening with our human resources. Again, all of these appraising resources, to summarize this table, I want to tell you that all kind of resources contribute into the innovative economy development and also help organizations to operate their business successfully in innovative economy. What else? Here the another slide which shows us the classification and help us to understand better how can we operate with tangible and intangible resources. So again, tangible resources, human resources, financial, physical, organizational. You may ask me, what does it mean, organizational resources? It means the type of the organizational structure, actually the organizational structure itself, and the process inside this structure help us to be more innovative, help us to manage the innovative economy and innovative business, do the innovative business. So that's why this is also resources. Intangible, which we already discussed, reputation, innovation itself, and technology. So tangible resources, again, it is the resources with which a firm has to work, assets including people, values, and brand name. Yeah, and we should understand that resource represent inputs into the production process. This is the another one more point why we should discuss the resources for the innovative economy, because all of them, they contribute also into the business development, and especially in R&D process, manufacturing process, and logistic process. Yeah, so contribute in different process of our business. Here there are a list of the theories which may be used by the company when we try to survive in the innovative economy. So let's imagine that you just start your company, or you want to transform your already existed business, and you have to choose the appropriate theory because your strategy will be based on this theory. Yeah, so that's why. How to be here, there are lists of different theories which help us to be more innovative and create innovation company. We may be based on the knowledge, and you can see all this list on the left side of this slide. So the first, knowledge-based view, competence perspective, core competencies, capabilities approach, dynamic capabilities approach, resource-based view, and evolutionary theory of the company. Let's start with the resource-based, because we already discussed all kind of resources, and I want to repeat and explain you that you may choose such kind of theory. You may choose the resource-based theory. And in this case, it means that the most important asset of your company is the resource. And you discover all the resources according to your product, type of the product which you develop, according to your strategy, and you develop your business based on this resource. If you choose the approach which are very close to the knowledge-based, it means that the most important resource or asset in your company will be knowledge. And your strategy will be focused on the knowledge sharing. You will discover how you can share the knowledge with other members and partners in the market. The example of the companies which use the knowledge-based theory or knowledge-based approach, usually these are R&D centers, because this is their task to share knowledge, and also universities. Yeah? If you choose the approach competence-based, so competence perspective, core competencies, capabilities, and so on, competence-based approach shows us the benefit from the competence development and discover the competence as a competitive advantage. So the competence-based approach helps us to understand that if you develop competencies, you will be more competitive, because the competencies contribute into the level of the competitiveness of your business. And please mind here that we discuss not only individual competencies, but it's more important to discover organizational competencies. In the examples of the organizational competencies are knowledge use inside the company, strategy itself, database, data itself, and so on. Yeah, so some kind of assets which are competitive, which are created usually inside this company, inside this business, and they may contribute to the competitiveness. Here in the table on the right part of this slide, you can find different incentives from the company, different theories, approaches, and the central objective of each approach. So industrial organization, if you belong to the industrial organization, you choose such kind of theory in the innovative economy. So it means that you focus on the market structure, you choose the appropriate segment of the market. If you're based on the transaction cost economics, you focus on the different strategies which help you to be more competitive in the market with the cost analysis, so you focus more on the cost leadership. Positive agency theory helps us to manage the informations, manage data. Yeah. Resource-based theories, as I mentioned earlier, based on the resources and has the strong emphasis on internal resources. And evolutionary theory, evolution of the company in the wild and broad perspective. It means that we should look around, we should evaluate the internal environment, external environment. We may combine different theories, previous theories in this theory, evolutionary theory. For example, we start with the resource-based approach and after that continue with the competence-based approach. Yeah. So again, to summarize this part of my lecture, I want to tell you that all these theories can be chosen by the corporation nowadays. All of them, they're modern theories. And if you ask me, how can we make the right choice of the theory? I will reply that we should understand what kind of industry do we have, what kind of market do we have, and what kind of strategy we may apply. Yeah, for example, if we have not so big competition in the market and we have enough resources, maybe it's better to choose the competence-based or resource-based approaches and develop our business through already existed resources. The next part, in innovative economy, always there is the technology competition. So if we are, our business belong to the innovative economy and we have innovative business, so we based on innovations. If we try to manage the innovations, usually we have to compete with technologies. As I mentioned earlier, nowadays, we have some kind of interesting trend in global environment. In different countries, a lot of global corporations, they try to use the similar technologies in the different industries, in the different markets. It's true because most of the technologies, even in different industries, they may use the similar data, they may use the similar platforms or assets. So this is the reason for the similarity among the technologies cross over the world. That's why the level of the competition in the technology management rise year by year, so continuously rising. Yeah, so that's why let's define what does it mean technological competition. Here you can find the definition, and also we have to do always technological competitive technology analysis, because we have to understand what is the level of our technology which we use, how can we compete with this technology, and how can we develop, what is the way of development of our technology in the future to be more competitive. Here, the different parts on this slide, you can find the different areas of the innovative economies. So these areas also refer to the innovative development of each company, which present its activity in the innovative economy. So if you're a high-tech company, if you try to survive in innovative economy, you know that there is some kind of technological competition around you. So always we have to manage these four parts, four elements. We should manage dynamic capabilities. It's some kind of like the recommendation. Knowledge-based knowledge, we have to discover our knowledge, submit this knowledge into the competence model. So we have to develop this knowledge always, and we have to understand how can we use this knowledge in our activities. So it means that transformation of the knowledge to the capabilities and competencies. Yeah. So right now I want to explain you what does it mean dynamic capability. First of all, we try to find the resources, the necessary resources to manage our company. For example, we want to develop our high-tech manufacturing process or R&D process. We need resources. For these resources, we need knowledge. So first of all, we get knowledge. We use this knowledge to understand what kind of resources do we need. We get the access to the resources. After that, we start using these resources in our activities, in our process, in our business. For example, we contribute with the knowledge in this research and development process. Yeah, in this case, knowledge becomes capability. So the knowledge is transformed to the capability because I know how to use this knowledge into this process. And after that, the next step and the next task, the most important task for innovative company, how to transform the capability to the competence. Capability, it is the used knowledge. I mean that knowledge which is used in certain process. And after that, you should transform this capability to the competence. And competence, this is the sustainable capability. So it becomes more understandable if we give if I provide the example. You know how to develop the design of this product. You start developing this design, and after that you contribute with the same capability, with the same knowledge into different cases. In this case, this knowledge transformed to the capability, and capability becomes competence. Yeah. So to be more competitive, all the innovative companies, they have to pass through successfully these dynamic capabilities. Next, if we use the theory of the knowledge development, so there are different hypotheses in this theory, and these questions which are submitted in this slide, they may help us to understand better what actually we have to do if we based on the knowledge and we want to develop our innovative company. Well, so in innovative economy, what kind of questions we may have? We should check the available statement of our resources. So all the resources which we use in our business, they should be available. If they're not available, it's not necessary to waste time and spend time and make some kind of efforts to these resources. Also, we discussed that we should manage the dynamic capability. We should create this capability, do this transformation of the knowledge to the capability, and from the capability to the competence. Also, we have to achieve this competitive advantage. All the resources we should submit in our business and move, transform them to the competences, because the final task for us be more competitive. So find the competitive advantages. Also, we have to answer the question, what kind of resources do we need and what kind of resources do we have to create, because we are lack of these resources for our competition. We have to understand the context of competition well, because if we do not do this competitive analysis, we can't understand exactly in which resources we are short in. So we need these resources, or we may even share the resources. Yeah. And of course, we should understand the system effects between resources, because different categories, different types of the resources we may use in different procedures of our business. Yeah, so some of the resources may be used in R&D, some of the resources may be used in marketing, and so on. So we should understand the systems, how to use these resources and transform them to the capabilities and competencies. When we successfully transform the resources to the competencies, so we may create the value chain. And here you can find some examples of the value chain analysis. Especially Korean students, maybe foreign students, you also know that Samsung Corporation has this strong and effective system of the value chain analysis. If you're interested in this example, you may find it in the internet. There is the open access example of the value chain of Samsung Corporation. But I want to explain you right now, what does it mean, value chain? Value chain, it's a part of the strategy. So if you're inside the innovative economy, and if you want to compete with another innovative companies, you have to create this value chain. You have to build and do this value chain analysis inside your strategy. What are the major elements of the value chain? Value chain, it means the component of the strategy which is based on the values. The example of the values, or what is the characteristic of the and definition of the value? Value, it is the competitive advantage. In other words, key competencies. That's why if you discover your key competencies, for example, your knowledge, your technology, which you develop by yourself, and now the high quality standards of your product or specific innovations, all of these components of your business may be your values. And after that, you start managing your values through the system of your business. And here you can find some examples. On the left, there are different processes inside the company. So we have organizational infrastructure, human resource management, technology development, procurement. In procurement, we have the logistics. And the task of the company to get the margin, to get the financial result, revenue, to achieve the revenue. So in this case, when you create the value chain, you have to divide all the process inside the company in two parts. The first part will be the most important resources. They contribute exactly into the final result. And the second part of the resources of the process, they will be support process. For example, in this case, infrastructure, human resource management, technology development, and procurement, these are the main parts of the business because they contribute into the product development, into the financial result. And logistics, different operations, marketing, sales, service, and logistics in blue area, these are support activities. They're also very important for the business. They also the process of the business, but they support the main process. This is the principle of the value chain. In each of this process, we have to discover values and we have to develop these values. We have to contribute with these values in our strategy. Here in this table below, you can find some kind of examples, how to create the values, how to manage the value chain. There are three main steps in the innovative development of our company: idea generation, conversion, and diffusion. Anyway, when we start the developing something inside our business, especially if we're based on innovation, so we pass through these three steps successfully. In idea generation, we have some kind of steps also. And here in the table in the white zone, you can find examples of the questions, how to manage this process of the value chain analysis. Key questions and key performance indicators, again, because all the values as the same as the competences should be evaluated and evaluated successfully to be more competitive. Here in now the example, the learning hierarchy and technology followers. So this triangle shows the evolution of the technology development in the innovative economy. We may apply with this theory for the large transnational corporations. CNC, it means the transnational corporations in the global markets, and the same happen with the domestic companies, large domestic companies. So how we will follow through this technology development process. We discover the technology, so we use the basic operating skills, capabilities. After that, we transform this technology to the technology acquisition and assimilation. It means that we start using the technology in different areas and operations. After that, we have to upgrade or make the reverse engineering of the technology always, because we have so many changes outside of our business. That's why we have to manage changes inside our business also to be more innovative and competitive. And we finish with the new R&D and other things. Yeah. What else? This is the model of the learning and productivity in the process industry technologies. So the similar example, we have different experience here. We assimilate with these experiences. We have some kind of learning efforts, learning assets, capabilities, resources, and competences on the left. And we may operate with these competences into different projects. And on the top of the scheme, we have the different steps of the projects. Yeah, for example, project implementation or startup operations. Yeah, and this plus shows us what kind of operations from the left we may use in different steps of the project's implementation and development. Yeah, and the last step can be acquisition or development the technology for new major investment projects. So this is also the example how we may contribute with technologies in different projects if we want to get the investment and develop our business in the other areas. Yeah? Here the innovation development system, also the framework for the business if we want to discover and develop our innovation development system. So here the sustainable example of such kind of system. So we discover the institutional context. It means that this is the framework not only for business, it's not only the internal environment, but also we discuss here the external environment of our business. So what do we have? Customers. In external environment, we may think about the experts. So if we have some kind of international markets, we may do that, and domestic market. What do we need for our markets and customers? We need to understand the policies of the customization and create some incentive systems, how to communicate with customers, how to present our technologies. Maybe we can get some kind of feedback from the customers, what kind of technologies do they need, do they want, and also contribute with this feedback into our product development. After that, inside the industry, what do we have? We have startups, projects, we have small and medium enterprises, large domestic enterprises, and even large transnational corporations. All of them, they contribute into the innovative economy development. They contribute also with the systems and policies. So, and you can find here the linkage between them. So all these companies, they have to understand the policies of the innovative economy, and at the same time, they have to meet the feedback from the customers. They have to refer to the customers' feedback. What is the linkage, main linkage between the industry and the other knowledge resources? Who else contribute in innovative economy through this framework? We're not alone in the innovative market. We always communicate and make the relationship with other institutions and partners. Who are they? Universities, vocational training organizations, research institutes. Of course, they contribute with knowledge for our business. So that's why they transfer, they make the knowledge linkage between the market and the technology development. They help us to develop our business. They may help us to transfer the technologies and the knowledge, and also they help us to discover the methodology and standards. Yeah. Also, we may use the foreign technology resources. Why not? Because if we have the foreign customers, so we may look around, and I know that most of the foreign companies always they try to communicate, share the resources, ideas, arrange the intellectual property rights, but try to discover the new forms of the technology development from the other innovative economies. Yeah. For example, the Korean market is interested in the German market, also in American market, because they have a lot of developed technologies also. And the last thing which I want to discuss with you today, my dear colleagues, so here to summarize everything, we may focus on the basic system concepts. Yeah, so we may have in innovative economy different systems, different concepts. So we may have national systems, and here you can find the examples of the companies, of the famous corporations which use such kind of system. Sectoral or technology systems based on the technology development, national systems based on the domestic markets, regional systems based on the policies from the region, for example, Asian Pacific region, American region, European region, African region, and clusters more general. So we may create different clusters across over the world, but in one industry. Yeah. And the main question, what is the system scope? So when we try to choose the appropriate system for our business, we have to answer the question, what is the system? What kind of system is appropriate for our business? And what's happening outside? That's why always we need to do this external environment. And how can we evaluate the system? Because the system itself should be evaluated also. We may find here the different system characteristics. So the scale, define the scale relative to, what is the scale? The industry may be the part of the scale, the market share may be the part of the, or market segment may be the part of the scale. Internal structure, what is the internal structure, and also describe it. Internal coherence, strengths, weaknesses, some kind of SWOT analysis, SWOT analysis, and external links, also the level of our openings to the market, what kind of strategy do we use, active or passive, and so on. Well, that's all for today. Thanks a lot. Have a good day and see you next lecture. Bye.